What up, you guys? It's your girl, Miss Supervillain. And today, we're going to talk about a few things. So, I got my notes because I'll be forgetting. I got like ADHD, y'all. So, don't pay me no mind. But it's a serious matter. Um, Because I done been through some things in the past couple of weeks, past couple of months. And yeah. So, basically, I recently lost somebody who I uh, really loved and really cared about and was really a good friend to me and also somebody I loved at one point, right? Um they died from a brain aneurysm. It was definitely um the hardest thing I think I ever had to face. It was one of the hardest deaths I ever had to face. I also had to face a death pertaining to my beautiful niece like 2 years ago. That was something. And the one thing about Oh yeah, and my great grandmother who passed away a few years ago when I was like 15, 14. And I noticed that I went through these deep, dark depressions. And I always ask people, like, hey, what do you do when you're going through, grieving stages or like whatever? Like, how do we get through this? Because I'm going through it. Okay. I don't know about you, but I'm going through it. And a lot of people, they be like, you'll get better, you'll get over it, you'll get through it. And the problem with going through it and getting through it is the fact that, like, yeah, you get through it, but they don't tell you, like, take your time to grieve. They don't tell you, you know, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel lost. You're gonna feel pain. You're gonna feel depressed. Because you can lose, there's many grievances that you can have, okay? You can have a grievance over a friend, a relationship of any kind, whether it be a friend or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whether it be a relationship like that. You can have a grievance over a place, some type of valuable item, or even um, I don't know, a restaurant, a food, anything that's valuable to you that was near and dear to you. It's it's a grievance, a friendship, a relationship, any type of ship, anything. And it doesn't mean that they had to die. It just means that the situation is that the person necessarily didn't die, but the the situation, the friendship is gone. There's no need for them. They serve you no more. You serve them no more, and y'all grew apart, right? So it's so many different things that I realized is crazy to me. Like, and nobody really gets a chance to talk about it. And I was just like, why don't we get to talk about this? Why don't we ever get a chance to like speak on it? So I came up with some things. I did some research because, Google is our best friend. Google is my best friend out here. And I was just wondering, like, what are the 5 stages of grievance? Because, like I said, my friend who I held near and dear to me died 2 months ago. This is October. They died in August, right? And so I still end up seeing myself cry at night. I still end up catching myself thinking about them and like, oh my God. So I was like, you know what? Let me just look this up. So apparently grieving stages have several several stages. One, you have shock, right? So shock is like that first instant, like, ain't no way. What? My people's what? Yeah, you lying. Oh, nah, you're bugging. It's probably a hoax. It's a this, it's a that, right? Or like if you hear about like a restaurant and then they're like, oh, it's closed. They shut it down. Like when we heard about they was closing Toys R Us, and when we heard they was closing Babies R Us, cause Toys R Us and Babies R Us is one and the same. Girl, lost my mother. I lost my mind. Okay, so I understand that, but then they had the nerve to be like, oh, okay, um, we close. So that was the grievance because when we thought they was playing, but then we found out they was really close. They was like 60% off on everything. We was like, sis, whoa there, buddy. Okay, whoa there, buddy. Find out the truth. I was like, all right, that's deep. So when I realized that shock is like, dang, you trying to do everything to like hurry up. Whatever you're doing, you're trying to wrap it up so you can get to that place, that spot, that space, spot, place, whatever the case may be, just to verify the information that you heard. Because you don't want to, when you're in shock, it's a shock, but you still want to go and get verification. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? And that happened to me. Because when I heard that my peoples died, I was like, where? Who? Not the person I'm thinking you talking about. Y'all talking about the wrong person. Oh, I know y'all lying. I was in shock for 3 days. Okay? I was in shock. Which is also kind of leading into the shock, and then it also leads into the denial, which is also the next part. Because after the shock, you get into denial. You're like, ain't no way, sis, what? I know you lying. Like, it gets out of pocket. And then finally, you get anger. Now, anger is the fact that, like, it's a different. Now, I'm gonna say this. There are 2 types of angers that I had experienced. So I think the first anger for grievance is like angry that you weren't there. Angry, like it's like blaming yourself and things like that. Like angry because you weren't there. Angry because you were too busy at work or too busy in the gym or too busy eating a plate of ice cream or whatever the scenario is that you couldn't be there. You could be angry for that. You could be angry for the last words that you may have said to them. You could have been angry about the fact that they died the way they did and or that the place is gone the way it is and you never got a chance to go and experience it or you never got a chance to do whatever. That's another thing. The other thing is bargaining. And the bargaining for me was deep. I went through bargaining. I was like, and granted, I dabble into understanding, right? So while I'm dabbling into understanding and I'm dabbling into, perseverance on certain things, I'm like, okay, you know what? The bargaining is like, God, like, praying to God, like, yo, God, please, look, let's make this make sense. Bring them back. If you don't bring them back, then I'll go to church every Sunday. Or I'll go eat an ice cream cone for you every day. Or I'll give you whatever. Like bargaining. Right? Trying to send a letter to a grocery store or a company because you're trying to make them stay open. Or partitioning something to get it off the air. Things like that. That's bargaining. And I remember I went as far as like on my knees crying and praying and through different bargainings too, because like I said, I had more than one grievance, family wise and relationship wise. I had a few different grievances and I was just like, okay. Right? So I finally was like, okay. When I finally understood it, right? Then I went through a depression where I was crying, which is also part of it. I went through a depression where I was crying. I was sad. I didn't know from Adam or Eve how to feel. I'm sitting here crying. I'm sitting here sad, depressed, and I'm sitting here looking at everybody and I'm moping around, right? I'm just, people looking at me, I'm looking at them. I'm like, don't talk to me, please, because I don't got nothing to say. I go in my room, I start breaking down in tears. I remember I was on the train because I'm in New York. So I was on the train, riding the train going to Brooklyn, and I'm crying my eyes out. I'm crying my soul out. I'm crying my spirit out. I'm crying. And all I wanted was somebody to like come and hug me. Because that's how bad I felt. That's how bad it felt for me. That's how bad it made me feel. Like it was just like, this cannot be true. I know it's true, but it just doesn't feel real. There's another one called a testing. And testing is where, I think I'm going to do that one last actually. Acceptance. Let's talk about acceptance first. Accepting The fact that they had passed away is such a hard thing to do. You know, getting them into the grave or realizing that that place is no longer there, accepting the fact that you'll never be able to have that moment with them anymore or have that time with them anymore or have that space that space for you or that restaurant or whatever. It's okay. I understand, but don't beat yourself up. What they don't tell you is that you beat yourself up because you feel guilty. You feel guilty. And that guilt, it can eat you. That guilt is going to eat you alive. Let it go. I know you might have said some bad things to this person. I know they might have said some bad things to you. I know you might have really wanted to go to this place and take people to this place. You might have wanted to do stuff with them. All these different things. There's other places, and it may not be another person that's back in this world for you to feel that way. But you have to understand that they don't want you to go through that either. They don't want you to be gone just because, they're gone, right? And so we have to accept the fact that they're gone and that, I'm pretty sure if they was alive, they would be living their best life if it was vice versa. They might be hurt, but they still gonna push through. And me, I had to remember that myself, this is why we're gonna spin back to acceptance right now. So acceptance, sorry, not acceptance, testing. I'm gonna put my phone down. Testing, let me tell you about testing, okay? Testing is about getting, trying to start dating again, going on new ventures, trying to figure out how to pass the time, trying to figure out how to do different things like that. It's just so much. And it's so hurtful because you don't want to do these things without this person. You don't want to have new experiences without this person. You don't want to do this stuff. You don't even want to go to new restaurants. And I keep mentioning restaurants because, like I said, there's so many different things that you can make as a loss. It's like when you're a kid and you lose a doll. And you're like, that was my favorite doll. And you will never get that doll back. But you knew that you left that doll on the train, on the bus, on the boat, the plane. And your mom was like, well, we can't go back. They don't know where it's at, and we can't find it. It's gone, baby girl. We have to get you another one. So yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that I witnessed some things, right? Witnessing these things. I guess I'm gonna say it. When I lost this person, the first thing I wanted to do was date. And I not date. And when I say date, I don't mean like I dated some people to be with people. I dated people or talked to people, went on dates with people because I didn't want to feel alone. I didn't want to feel alone. And sometimes when you are with people that you know, that like know you and know that person or know that place or know that thing that you loved or you love or who you love, they give you the most bare minimum of interaction and they give you the most bare minimum of conversation and the most bare minimum answers because they don't know themselves, right? And it's a taboo conversation and it's a thing where people don't really get to talk about it, but we know it happens and we all know that we have a due date. We just don't know our date, right? So in the spurt of everything, I was dating. I was going crazy dating people. Not so much crazy. Like I was dating like 2-3 people. I tried 2-3 people, whatever. I didn't sleep with nobody or nothing like that. You don't get a cookie away. But you can go on dates. It's okay to go on dates with people. It's okay to have a friend that you just go meet up with people and get some drinks with and do things. Do something that's gonna make you understand that life is still continuing. Because I remember when I seen this person in the bed, on their deathbed, and the first thing I had said to them was, I want to go with you. I will never forget that. I told this person on their deathbed, I mean, they couldn't hear me or anything. They had already departed, but I had told them, like, to their body, to the flesh, not to the spirit, but to the flesh, that I want to go with them. And I remember his his cousin that was like, "Girl, you can't say that. Like, you can't say stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be something that he wants you to say, because I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be the other way around." And I'm like, I understand, but that's how I feel. That was my personal feelings for how I feel about this person. And nobody's allowed to tell you how to feel, how to grieve. And nobody tells you these things. It hurts that you're going to feel alone, that you're going to have people around you who are maneuvering you through life, but it's not the same as like it might have felt with that person or with that place, thing, or being, or whatever the situation may be. Um, so take your time. Take your time. Do not feel rushed. Do not feel like, if I don't do this, it's okay, sweetie. It took me about a month or two, close enough, 2 months, to finally stop guilt tripping myself. And I'm still having days where I cry and I think about this person daily, and I still am like the what ifs and the what has and what if I could have and da 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 da, shoulda, woulda, coulda, can't happen, right? Um, and all the promises that we made to each other and all the things that we said to each other and all the love that we had for each other, even though we're rocky, right? It was a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. The experiences that I had with this person, the time that I was spent with this person, it may have not been the worst, it may have not been the best, it may have not been the greatest to some people, but to me, that's all I had. So it felt amazing to me. It was amazing to me. It made sense to me. And I was able to spend as much time as I could with that person. So that's what I got out of the situation. Um, that's that. You love people for who they are, and you cherish those people for who they were, and you care about those people, whatever. But I tell you one thing, when it comes down to it, in all honesty, it's okay to feel the way you feel. It's okay to go through what you got to go through. It's okay. If you need somebody to talk to, you can hit my line. You can text me in the comments a whole story. I'll read your entire story to the world if you would like me to tell it. Because your story needs to be heard. It's important that people understand grievances. Because for me, for like the past 2 months, I was sitting by myself, crying in my room, and I was just sitting here. And I felt alone. And I know there's a lot of people that didn't get to talk about it, their own personal situation. And I want to make sure that I open that platform, because I'm about to start crying. Hold on. Whew. My eyes are starting to water up here. Okay. But I want to make sure that I'm able to open up that platform for anybody that has grief. I don't care if it's a toy from when you was 2. it doesn't matter. If you want me to talk about it, I will talk about it on this thing for you. Because, boy, I really wish I had somebody who had an open ear for me. On certain things. And, I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't. I'm not saying that nobody listened. But I am saying that, not from a biased standpoint. But I noticed that grief is something serious and people need to talk about it more. Yeah, it needs to be elaborated more. It needs to be talked about more. It needs to be in depth more. It needs to be a conversation. So thank you guys so much for listening. Please share, comment, subscribe, and let me know. If you guys have any story times that you want me to tell you or read, let me know in the comments below and I will read them. You can send them to me. And my IG and all that stuff will be in the description below. Thank you guys. Have a good one.